Have you ever sat in your favorite chair, looked around your home, and thought, this space used to feel peaceful. Now it just feels full? Not messy, just heavy. Full of decisions you haven't made yet, of things you don't use but still feel guilty letting go of. And in a small home, even quiet clutter has a loud presence. Today, I want to share 9 gentle organizing tricks, especially made for women over 60 living in smaller spaces. These aren't rules, they're invitations. Invitations to breathe easier, to move through your day without bumping into things that don't serve you anymore, to feel like your home finally fits the life you live now, not the one you used to live. I remember Nancy, a woman I met at a church potluck in Pennsylvania. She lived alone in a 700 square foot cottage with big windows and one stubborn junk closet. She told me she kept a drawer full of old mail from her late husband, not because she needed it, but because she was afraid that letting it go meant letting him go. One afternoon, she read through each piece, kept 2 cards that still made her smile, and burned the rest in the fireplace. I didn't feel sad, she said. I felt lighter, like I had room for him in my heart instead of in a drawer. And that's what this video is really about. Not decluttering, not minimalism, just space to breathe, to live, to feel like you again. Let's begin, one small shift at a time. Not long ago, I visited a friend who lived in a tiny 2-bedroom cottage on the Oregon coast. Her walls were filled, top to bottom. Framed certificates from when she taught elementary school in the 80s. Cross-stitch pieces from her mother. A few yellowed calendars from years she couldn't quite let go of. They don't take up floor space, she said almost defensively. They're just there. But they weren't just there. They filled the room with then, not now. When you live in a small house, walls matter. They're not just places to hang things. They're part of how you breathe, how you feel when you sit with your coffee, how your home talks back to you. So here's the shift. Use your vertical space not to store the past, but to serve the life you live now. Install shelves, yes, but make them hold useful beauty. A basket of daily meds, your reading glasses, the book you reread every spring. Hang hooks for the scarf you always wear, not the one you haven't touched since your sister gave it to you in '96. Let your walls become helpers, not museums. I remember Jean, 73, from New Hampshire. She had an entire hallway filled with plastic bins stacked to the ceiling, school papers from her kids, VHS tapes, old travel brochures. She told me, I don't even know what's in half of them, but every time I walk past, I feel like I'm failing at something. One day, she cleared just one shelf, filled it instead with her puzzle books, a small plant, and her favorite candle. It's the first time in years that hallway has felt like home, she said. I've had to ask myself hard questions too. I had a set of old tools, hammers, pliers, screws, that once belonged to my father. I hadn't used them in over a decade, but they sat on the shelf in my laundry room quietly judging me. One day, I gave them to a neighbor who actually builds things. The shelf now holds the things I do use. Light bulbs, a flashlight, an old radio Ruth loved to play when she cooked. I miss the tools sometimes, but I don't miss the guilt. Walls don't just hold things, they hold our stories. And at some point, we get to decide which ones we're still living. Start with one wall, one shelf. Ask it, does this still serve the life I have now? If not, let it go with love and make room for what does. And once the shelves feel lighter, let's turn our eyes to the floor. Because peace doesn't just come from what we hang, it comes from how we move. I've learned this the hard way. When you live in a small house, your floor is not storage space. It's breathing space. We don't always notice it. One basket becomes 2. Then there's the bag you meant to donate, the stack of magazines you promised you'd read, the folded blanket that never made it to the closet. It's innocent at first, But before long, your path from the kitchen to the bedroom starts to zigzag. And with each sidestep, your mind does the same. Clearing your floors isn't about impressing anyone. It's about giving yourself a home that feels like a gentle exhale. I remember Linda, 70, from Missouri. She had a beautiful living room but could barely walk through it. "It's all stuff I plan to deal with eventually," she said. One weekend, her granddaughter came over and said, "Grandma, I can't play on the floor with my dolls here." That was her moment. She cleared the boxes, rolled up an extra rug, and donated 2 bins of decorations she hadn't touched since 2009. "Now," she told me, "I wake up and I see floor again. It's strange, but it makes me feel younger." I had my own version of that. There was a small pile of old extension cords near the hallway that I never used but never moved. For years, I stepped around it like it was part of the furniture. One morning, I tripped, twice. That evening, I threw them all out. The space they left behind, it was barely a foot wide, but somehow my whole home felt bigger. You see, when your feet have freedom, your thoughts follow. And the floor, of all places, is where peace begins. A cluttered floor is a quiet thief of energy. We don't always notice what it takes until it's gone. So tonight, just one space, maybe the spot near your door or the side of your bed. Clear it, not to make it pretty, but to let it breathe. You'll be surprised what shifts inside you too. Now that we've looked down, let's look inward, because sometimes the smallest drawers hold the biggest weight. You don't have to clean the whole house to feel better. You don't even have to clean a room. Sometimes all you need is one drawer. I've met so many women over the years, strong, capable women who told me, "I want to get organized, but I don't even know where to begin." And that's the trap, isn't it? The weight of the whole house sitting on your shoulders, the feeling that if you can't do it all, you shouldn't even start. But here's what I've learned. Small shifts count. And one drawer a day? That's a powerful, gentle rhythm. Take 15 minutes. Choose one drawer. Bathroom, kitchen, nightstand, that forgotten little one near the laundry room. Pull everything out. Wipe it clean. Hold each item and ask, "Do I use this? Does it belong in the life I live now?" If yes, back it goes. If no, you bless it and let it go. I remember Arlene, 69, from North Carolina. After her husband passed, she said the house felt too big and too full. She didn't know where to begin. So she chose her spice drawer, just that. She smiled when she found 4 jars of cinnamon all expired. It felt silly, she told me, but it was the first thing I'd done for me in months. Now, she says, clearing one drawer a day is like brushing her teeth, just part of caring for herself. I've done it too. There was a drawer in my desk, half batteries, half old birthday cards. I found one from my daughter when she was 10. I kept that. The rest? Gone. That drawer now holds stamps, envelopes, and a little notebook where I write one thing I'm grateful for every night. It's no longer junk. It's something that serves me. We don't tidy to erase the past. We tidy to make room for the present to land. Try it tonight. Just one drawer, no guilt, no pressure, just curiosity and kindness. You might be surprised how quickly those 15 minutes change the way your day feels. And now that we've looked inside the small spaces, it's time to peek under the bed, where forgotten things tend to gather quietly. The space under your bed, it's quiet, forgotten, and often full of things we've quietly postponed. Gift bags from 10 holidays ago. That suitcase with clothes 2 sizes too small. A box labeled important that hasn't seen daylight since the Clinton administration. In a small house, under the bed storage seems smart until it becomes the place where decisions go to sleep. But here's something I've learned. Use that space only for what truly serves you now. Nothing dusty, nothing heavy, nothing you're holding out of guilt. If you store flannel sheets or winter slippers there, fine. But be intentional. Label them clearly. Contain them neatly. When you pull them out, they should feel like a welcome part of the life you live today, not some forgotten version of who you once were. I think of Evelyn, 71, from Michigan. She lived in a sweet little cottage, and under her bed were 6 bins. 6. When she finally opened them, she found nursing books from her first job, costume jewelry from her disco days, and a wedding veil from a marriage that ended decades ago. She kept one bracelet that still made her smile and gave the rest to Goodwill. I didn't cry, she told me. I felt like I let my past rest where it belonged, not under my bed. Me? I once found 3 broken heating pads shoved behind a pair of winter boots. I laughed. Then I sighed. Then I let them go. That space now holds 1 bin, my backup crossword book and a soft throw I use every January. And nothing more. And I'll tell you, nothing more feels really, really good. If something has to hide in the dark and gather dust to stay, it may no longer belong in the light of your life. So tonight, pull one thing out from under your bed, just one. Hold it. Ask, does this belong in the home I'm building now? If yes, give it space. If no, give it freedom. And once your bed stands on clarity, not clutter, let's move into the kitchen, because sometimes peace begins with where you set your mug in the morning. Years ago, I used to think that organizing meant putting all things together. All the tape in one drawer, all the scissors in a box, all the batteries in a labeled bin in the closet that I'd forget existed. But over time, especially in a smaller house, I've learned that organizing by zone, not by category, makes life easier. It's about creating little pockets of function that match how you actually live. Instead of storing every light bulb in the garage, keep 2 in the drawer near the lamp you always replace. Instead of one big stationery box under the bed, keep stamps and envelopes near your reading chair, if that's where you write. Because here's the truth. If something isn't within arm's reach of where you use it, it becomes invisible, and invisible things become clutter. I remember Connie, 68, from Vermont. Her kitchen was tiny but charming. Sunlight hit just right in the mornings. She had 5 wooden spoons in a bin in the pantry, but none near her stove. Every time she needed one, she'd get frustrated. One afternoon, we hung a simple hook near the stove. Just 1 spoon. It's silly, she said, but cooking feels easier now. That's not silly at all. That's design working with your life, not against it. I had a similar shift with my coffee setup. I used to keep the filters in a cabinet across the room. One day, I moved them to a small drawer right under the machine. Such a small change, but now mornings feel smoother, and smoother mornings at my age are golden. Good organization doesn't mean having less. It means having what you need, where you need it, without digging through your past to find your present. Try this. Pick one room, ask yourself, where do I always go looking for things I should already have nearby? Then fix just that one thing, not the whole room, just that one friction point. And once your zones support your rhythm, you'll feel the shift. Now, speaking of rhythm, let's talk about something that quietly disrupts it. Unfinished projects. You know the ones I mean. There's something deeply comforting about knowing exactly where your comfort lives. Your lotion. That one tea that calms your nerves. A heating pad. A soft eye mask. But when those little comforts are scattered across drawers, hidden behind cleaning supplies, or shoved into linen closets, we forget they're even there. And when we forget our self-care, it gets harder to reach for it, especially on days when we need it most. That's why I always suggest this gentle shift. Use clear bins to gather your self-care items in one place. Visible, accessible, and just for you. It's not about buying more things. It's about honoring what already soothes you. When you can see it, you're more likely to use it. I remember Joyce, 72, from Ohio. She kept all her comfort items in random places. Vicks in the hall cabinet, her favorite neck wrap in a laundry basket. chamomile tea bags buried in the pantry. One winter, she got sick and couldn't find anything she needed. Her daughter visited, gathered it all into a clear plastic bin, and put it by her reading chair. That bin, Joyce told me, makes me feel like someone's taking care of me, even when I'm alone. I did the same for myself last year. I now have a small clear container in my bedroom closet with lip balm, magnesium spray, a sleep mask, and a few notes Ruth wrote me years ago. On the hard days, I don't have to think. I just reach. And that little reach makes all the difference. Care isn't something you do when there's time. It's something you prepare for, like a kindness you've left for your future self. So tonight, find a bin. It doesn't have to be fancy. Just make it clear. Fill it with the things that ease your body and soften your day. Label it if you'd like. Then place it somewhere it can see you and you can see it. Next, we'll move from what soothes you to what burdens you quietly. Those unfinished projects you promised yourself you'd finish one day. There's a moment, right when you walk in the door, that can either feel like a deep breath or a small storm. Shoes kicked off sideways, mail tossed onto chairs, a purse dropped near the cat's bowl. You mean to deal with it later, but later turns into tomorrow and tomorrow into weeks. And somehow that little corner becomes a magnet for stress. That's why I believe in creating what I call a gentle landing zone. It's not about decorating, it's about welcoming yourself home. All you need is a small tray, a shallow basket, and a hook or two, a place for keys, mail, your coat, maybe even a little dish for loose change, or that lip balm you always forget. That's it. Just one small zone that says, "You're here now. You made it back." I think of Denise, 74, from New Mexico. She had lived in her adobe home for over 30 years, but her entryway always felt messy. "It's just where things go to die," she joked. Her daughter helped her set up a tiny bench, a hook for her hat, and a basket for her gloves. A ceramic bowl from a Santa Fe market held her keys. "It changed everything," she told me. "Now when I walk in, I don't feel behind. I feel held." I had my own shift like that after a long winter. I used to leave my mail on the dining table, my cane near the recliner, and never find anything twice. One day, I cleared a corner, added a simple shelf, and left a note to myself. Pause here. I still pause, every day. It helps me re-enter my space and my mind, gently. The first few seconds you spend at home shape the next few hours you live there. So tonight, look at your doorway. Ask it what it needs to welcome you more softly. Maybe it's a tray. Maybe it's a bench. Maybe it's just less. You don't need a perfect system, just a loving one. And once your entrance feels peaceful, let's step into something deeper. The closets. Because inside those doors often live pieces of our identity we've outgrown, but never quite released. Some of the heaviest things in a home don't weigh much at all. A corsage from a dance in 1965, a baby's hospital bracelet, a faded recipe written in your mother's handwriting, even though you never cooked it. These things tug at us, not because we need them, but because they remind us who we've been. And letting them go can feel like saying goodbye to a piece of ourselves. But here's something I found helpful, especially in a smaller home. Keep just one item from each chapter of your life, the one that still speaks to your heart. Not the whole drawer, not the whole box, just the one that still breathes with meaning. Years ago, I helped a woman named Claire, Section 6, go through her attic. We found boxes marked high school, marriage number 1, kids, nursing school, widowhood. Each box held dozens of things she hadn't looked at in years, but when we slowed down, something beautiful happened. From each chapter, she chose one item, a letter, a photo, a pin. She created what she called her life shelf. 5 objects, 5 lives, really, displayed with love and so much peace. I did the same for myself not long ago. I let go of the tie I wore at my daughter's graduation, but I kept the Polaroid from that day. I let go of my father's pocket watch that never worked, but I kept his fishing license, creased, weathered, still smelling faintly of the lake. Letting go doesn't mean forgetting. It means making space for what still holds you with tenderness. So, when you're ready, open that box. Choose just one thing from that time in your life that still makes your eyes close gently when you touch it. That's the one to keep. The rest, you've already lived it. You don't need to carry it anymore. Now that the heart has had its moment, let's turn to the last space we often overlook, the mind. Because mental clutter, well, it takes up space too. Some of the messiest clutter doesn't sit on shelves or pile up in corners. It lives in your head, quietly, constantly whispering, call the doctor, mail the birthday card, fix that squeaky hinge. And in a small home, where every object is visible, having invisible noise in your mind only makes it harder to rest. That's why I believe this. Even your thoughts, especially the unfinished ones, deserve a place to land. It can be a simple notebook by the fridge, a dry erase board near the phone, a small tray with index cards beside your chair. What matters is that it's visible, gentle, and forgiving. Not another place to feel behind, just a place to lighten the load. There's a woman I know, Estelle, 73, from Oregon. She used to keep all her reminders in her head. I wake up already tired, she once told me. So we placed a small corkboard by her back door. 3 pinned notes: refill meds, call Ben, get more bird seed. That was it. But she told me, when I see it, I exhale. It holds it for me. For me, I keep a little lined pad by my teapot. That's where I scribble things, return books, reorder tea, trim the ivy. Some mornings I cross things off. Some mornings I just sip my tea and stare. But at least I know those thoughts aren't swirling inside me anymore. They have a home. When your thoughts stop spinning, your heart has more room to feel. And that, too, is a kind of organizing. So tonight, give your to-do list a soft home. Somewhere visible, somewhere easy, and no guilt if you don't finish it. Peace is not about doing everything. It's about remembering you don't have to carry it all alone. Now that your shelves are lighter, your drawers clearer, and even your mind has space, let's end this journey together, where every small step leads you back home. If you've stayed with me this far, you already know. This isn't really about decluttering and organizing a small house, not at its core. It's about choosing gently, choosing with love and honesty. What serves you in this chapter of life, what makes your space feel like you, not who you were at 40, not who others expect, but who you are now. Because peace doesn't come from perfection. It doesn't come from matching containers or spotless countertops. It comes from rooms that feel lived in, with only what you love, what you use, and what brings you ease, physically and emotionally. So start small. One drawer, one shelf, one story you're ready to either hold close or let float gently away. And with every item, ask softly, do I need to carry you into the next season of my life? If yes, honor it. If not, release it with thanks, not guilt. I'll tell you what I found at 70. The lighter my shelves feel, the more present I become, not because I have less stuff, but because I have less noise. You're not just creating space. You're creating clarity, and clarity is what lets joy find you again. So I'd love to hear from you in the comments. What's one small organizing shift you're ready to make this week? Maybe it's a shelf. Maybe it's a bin under your bed. Maybe it's your thoughts. Whatever it is, name it. Naming it is the first kind step. And if this felt like a quiet conversation that touched something true, send it to someone you love, someone who also deserves a little more breathing room. You're not just clearing clutter. You're not just folding towels. You're shaping the life that fits you now. And that, my dear friend, is a beautiful thing to grow into.